Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back for a Friday edition of the Still City Sports Report, where we talk everything Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates. I am your host, Brady Vini, and we got quite a few things to talk about tonight. A little bit of new Aaron Rodgers news that I'm sure all of Steelers Nation is interested in. Also going to be talking about the Pittsburgh Pirates, and they are like that one scene, if you're a Star Wars fan like I am, that one scene at the beginning of Rogue One when the Imperial scientist guy, he goes, "We were this close to greatness. We were right there." That is what the Pittsburgh Pirates were. Last night, they barely scrape across 5 runs. It took them all 9 innings to do so. They tie the all-time MLB record for consecutive games with 4 or less runs scored at 26. They do not break the record and stand alone at the top with 27. They did eventually lose, so that's typical Pirates fashion. Gonna get into that here in a moment. First off, if you are new here, please subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so that you never miss when I am live again. Also, feel free to like and share this video and comment in the live section. I like interacting with you fine folks, so get your questions, concerns, opinions, thoughts in there, and I can pop those up on the screen at a moment notice, and we can chit chat about that. First things first, here we are going to talk about the Pirates. Like I just mentioned, they do not break the streak last night for consecutive games without scoring more than 4 runs, so they now remain tied with 2 other teams. Going to get to them here in a moment. Let me pop up the box score from last night's game. It was an 8-5 loss for the Buccos. Where'd the scores here? There they are. 1 second here. Always takes a second here to pop up. Here we go. So anyways, last night, the Bucs, they started off hot, typical Pirates fashion. Mike Burrows got his first MLB start of his career, gave up 3 runs in the first inning. I think he got the first guy out, struck him out, and then he let 2 runners on. Christian Yelich, who I think has been struggling so far this year for the Brewers. Of course, when he plays the Penguins, the Pirates, he turns back into prime Christian Yelich form. He goes opposite field, home run. Tommy Pham could not bring it back. Pirates did get one back in the bottom of the first innings. Joey Bart gets the run back, a bases loaded double play. So that's pretty much the only way that the Bucs could get runs across anymore, hitting into double plays, which they have done a lot of this year. I wouldn't be shocked if they not only lead the league in double plays hit into, but if they lead the league in double plays when the bases are loaded. Joey Ortiz, the Brewers' number 9 hitter, then got another run in the top of the second. Scoreless third inning, bottom of the 4th inning, Spencer Horwitz, he gets the Bucs another run, his first Bucco homer, and he got every stitch of that ball. Hopefully we get to see that little bit of pop that he has. He doesn't have a whole lot. He's not your typical, crush everything that you hit first baseman prototype that we've seen around the league. Isn't the most eye-popping power hitter, but hey, when he gets a hold of one, he can send it a ways, and everything he's been hitting lately has been hard hit. Christian Yelich got that run back. Another home run this time. Yelich, it wasn't a, lucky just got over the left field wall. He absolutely cranked it. Bucs then got another run back. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa and O'Neal Cruz got on base. IKF doubled off the third baseman's glove. Cruz hit the ball to left center field, and IKF came across to score. The game then went into a delay, a 2-hour delay just about. I think the game went into a delay, I want to say at around 8:26 Eastern time. They didn't resume until 10:20, so a 2-hour rain delay. Didn't really was really shocked that ended up happening. I thought they would have ended up calling it. They played quite a bit in the rain before they brought the tarp on. Of course, Pirates didn't get a run when they had 2 on when the game resumed. Joey Bart, he had a great play, I think, in the 8th inning, saved a runner. So ball was bunted. It was a suicide squeeze play. Ball was bunted slightly up in the air. Bart pounced out of his stance, caught the ball, doubled off the runner at second base. So great job there by Joey Bart. Guess he heard my criticisms of being the probably one of the worst defensive catchers on this team. Then in the bottom of the ninth, the Bucks, they were down 8-4 at that point. And Spencer Horwitz, a ground out to the shortstop. They get their 5th run for the first time since April 22nd. So a full calendar month between scoring at least 5 runs for the Bucks. They would end up losing that game 8-5, like I said. And, typical Pirates. Yeah, I would have just let them break the record. I mean, you can't do anything but laugh and suck. I mean, I see that as them not even sucking properly. Like, you couldn't have broken this record that may never be sniffed again in any of our lifetimes. And it would have been the perfect, bow on the present, the icing on top of the cake for how bad Ben Cherington and Bob Nutting have butchered this rebuild year 6 and how poorly they have built around Paul Skeens and others to where the run support is historically bad. They ended up losing, like I said, so they got just 1 run over to break the record, and they ended up losing anyways. Typical Pirates. They remain tied with the teams here, 1931 Boston Braves and the 1969 California Angels. I kind of wanted them to break it just because it would have been hilarious to laugh at them for their failures, because that's all you can do anymore. It goes back to Dan Zangrilli on 93.7 The Fan. I kept listening to it last night in case they would have broken the record. I would have posted it. This team has managed to grab a pickaxe, a shovel, and dig deeper to a rung of hell past Satan himself. And like he said, you're not mad at it. It's impressive how bad they are. So that's what the Bucks did last night. They don't break the record. It sucks. I just wanted to see them do it, because you can remember stuff like that more. Say, hey, I remember when this offense was historically bad, and then hopefully you can look back on it when this team may eventually, probably going to be a long time from now, be good again. You can look back on it and feel more vindicated as a fan for sticking around. But looking ahead to tonight, happy Skeens Day to all of you who celebrate. Probably going to start a new streak of scoring 4 or less runs tonight, because if you're a betting man, bet the under on Pirates runs here tonight, because they love to give Skeens no run support. Bucks lineup for tonight's game: O'Neal Cruz leading off again, playing center field. It seems like he's looking healthier. I know Donnie Kelly kept him out a couple of games within the past week, but Cruz, he looks back to the O'Neal Cruz that started off the year, being disciplined at the plate, hitting the ball hard, stealing bases. Andrew McCutchen batting second, designated hitting. Brian Reynolds in right field. He's continued to struggle. He had a golden opportunity with runners on first and third out of that rain delay last night, ended up striking out. Spencer Horwitz batting in the cleanup spot. I like that instead of him batting 5th. Probably reason why he is batting 4th tonight instead of 5th is because Joey Bart is out of the lineup. In the lineup tonight, Alexander Canario in left field. It's about damn time you put him back in the lineup. He has seemed to improve a little bit, getting more playing time with Don Kelly as the bench coach, or as the manager instead of the bench coach. And I will take, seeing what you have in a lottery ticket in Canario over watching Tommy Sham anymore. Like, a Tommy Pham, he was 0 for 4 last night. I think he had 2 strikeouts and a double play, if I'm not mistaken. Just how the hell this dude isn't DFA'd already beats the hell out of me. And there's like theories out there like, oh, they want to keep him going, see if they can get, any trade value up for him before the trade deadline. Like, no, this dude could be off the team He brings nothing in the locker room, on the field. He's been an absolute pain to watch and deal with. And he's holding a spot right now that could be given to a Nick York or someone else down in AAA to see what your younger guys have. So Canario, he bats fifth tonight instead of Pham, thank God. Key Brian Hayes, he'll bat sixth and play third base. Adam Frazier, the corpse of Adam Frazier, he bats seventh, seems to be glued to that position in the lineup, seventh or eighth. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa at shortstop, he's improved with the glove. I will say, like earlier in the year, it seemed like he had the yips and couldn't make a throw from shortstop to save his life. I'll give him credit. He's been better there. And then back in the lineup tonight and catching, batting ninth, Henry Davis. Have no clue why the hell he didn't play last night after 2 games ago. He played either his best or second best game of his career, came through with a clutch RBI single, was stout defensively, throwing out runners and tagging runners out. And he should play over Joey Bart at this point. I know you want to keep Bart's bat in your lineup, start playing him at first base, but you cannot sit down Henry Davis, a 1-1 overall pick, and just have him play, a game or 2 out of a series, depending on who's pitching. So hopefully Hank can keep up his hot streak here tonight. And like I said, Paul Skeens is on the bump. That first pitch is scheduled for 7:40, so about under an hour from now, Paul Skeens will take the bump. Pretty much the only thing we can hold on to anymore. More on Skeens later in the show. I know yesterday I talked about Ben Cherington shutting down the rumors, saying there is no chance, no conversations about trading Paul Skeens right now. Well, there was an MLB writer who cooked up a hypothetical trade, sending Skeens to the Boston Red Sox. I will talk about that here later on in the show. Let me do a quick move here, see what's next. Now we're going to move into the bit of a football topic here. Aaron Rodgers, another microphone he was in front of today, other than Joe Rogan, and he hinted at becoming a Steeler. So I have no idea where this is at, to be honest, but Rodgers, he was somewhere, I assume, like, remember you all saw the video of Rodgers, he was at some sort of concert, and he had a, spray Tommy gun or something like that, and he was spraying people. Well, he was having a Q&A session in Chicago, or he was having a Q&A session, and the water gun was there, so I assume it's the same place. Anyways, one of the questions, this young lady came up, and she asked if we would ever see Aaron Rodgers play for the Chicago Bears. Of course, Rodgers, former Green Bay Packers quarterback, Packers and Bears, big rivals, and Rodgers pretty much owns the Chicago Bears for how well he does against them. In his answer, he didn't answer the question directly, but he said something along the lines of a team that will play Chicago this year. And if you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers schedule, week 12, November 23rd, I believe that is a 1:00 game. The Steelers will be in Chicago playing against the Bears. Rodgers hinting that, he could be signing with the Steelers soon. At least one guy in the crowd, immediately picked up on it and shouted out Pittsburgh. So Rodgers also went on to say, how he has a great relationship with Chicago. Chicago doesn't have a great relationship with him, but I would love to see Rodgers, even though he'll be 42 years old, have one last go at Chicago and prove that they're their owner once again. So it's heating up. All I'm saying is that it's heating up here. We've heard rumors that whatever has been keeping him from making a decision is now starting to clear up. We've got other rumors today. There was a caller into 93.7 The Fan, one of the shows, who said that he saw Aaron Rodgers in the Strip District in Pittsburgh, walking out of a hotel and getting by himself into a SUV. Hell, even there was a dude last night, I believe, who caught Spencer Horwitz's home run, who kind of looked like Aaron Rodgers. I'm looking at the picture right here. If you want to go look up Austin Bechtold from 93.7 The Fan, he posted the picture. But, I mean, it's not, but I could kind of see it being Aaron Rodgers, at least an Aaron Rodgers, from like 5 years ago. The similarity between the two is scarily accurate. So, yeah, Aaron Rodgers hinting at becoming a Steeler. It's got to be coming here soon. I mean, at this point, I don't know if it'll be before OTAs, which I believe start Wednesday, but maybe not too long after that. Who knows? Let's go to the comment section real quick, Flacco. I don't hate Rodgers. He has been a good QB. He's just old in our O-line. We don't know what we got blocking-wise. I agree. I mean, the thing that will forever puzzle me about why the Steelers have taken this long courting Aaron Rodgers, like waiting for him at the altar, is because Mike Tomlin, for like the past 2-3 years now, he has described one quality that he wants to see in his quarterbacks that he thinks are pivotal in today's day and age, and that is mobility. And Rodgers, back in the day, used to be a pretty good dual threat quarterback. He could, still more of the pocket passing quarterback, but still, if he has to pull it down and scamper for 10, 12 yards, pick up a first down, he could do that back then. But now, 42 years old, with, coming off an Achilles injury 2 years ago, even last year, you saw him up in New York. He looked like Big Ben the final year that he played. He was getting the ball out at one of the quickest rates in the entire league. And I think you might be, staring that down again. I don't trust his mobility. I'd much rather, trust Mason Rudolph. I know Rudolph's not the most fleet of foot guy either, but still comparing a, late 20s, early 30-year-old Mason Rudolph to a 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers, that's better. Will Howard, he's a hell of a dual threat quarterback, but he's a 6th round pick. And you let the most mobile guy in the league in Justin Fields get away. So I don't know. Yeah, like you said, I don't hate Rodgers, but I don't trust our O-line either. You're going to have Broderick Jones, his 3rd year in the league, playing finally at his natural position in left tackle. Isaac Seumalo, he's been steady Eddie for most of his tenure here in Pittsburgh, but he showed a tiny bit of regression last year. Nothing that's going to, worry me right now, but still, you saw it there. Zach Frazier, he'll be all right. Just got nicked up a little bit last year with an injury. Same thing with Mason McCormick. He still got a lot to show me as a 5th round pick at right guard starting in your 2nd year, but the potential's there, I think. And then you'll have Troy Fautanu, who's basically going to be a rookie again. He played 1 game last year. And even then, it was, he was splitting time with Broderick. And he's still learning a new position as well. When he came out of the draft, out of Washington, he was a left tackle there for Michael Penix. And the Steelers stuck him at right tackle here. So I'm interested to see. There's a lot of moving parts to this. There's a lot that you would like about Aaron Rodgers potentially signing. There's also going to be a lot that's going to puzzle you. Veteran guy who is going to get the ball into his top receivers. Absolutely. That's what Rodgers is going to do. He's going to feed the ball to DK Metcalf, Pat Freiermuth, something that you haven't seen Steelers quarterbacks do in recent years. You're going to see him diagnose the field at pre-snap and have a pretty good idea of what the defense is doing. You're going to see him put the ball on the money with accuracy. That's one thing that you can never take away from Aaron Rodgers or any quarterback. Really, the arm is the last thing to go. And Rodgers, he's still got an arm. He could sling it till he's 50 if he wants. Hell, put Rodgers, if there wasn't a need to scramble for it, you could put Rodgers on the Team USA flag football team for the Olympics and he'll do all right. But then again, look at the cons. Questionable offensive line, limited mobility, durability overall is just going to be a question. When's the last time, other than Tom Brady, who was a health freak with his TB12 program and his weird drink that he would have in his Gatorade bottle, When's the last time you saw a 40-plus-year-old quarterback finish an entire NFL season? So that's my take on Rodgers. We'll see here if things are going to happen in the coming days. Like I said, I believe OTAs begin Tuesday or Wednesday. So we'll get tons of stories out of there. Be interested to see, even if Rodgers does show up, what reps he will take. If he'll be taking reps with the ones, having signed there for 24, 48 hours, still learning the playbook. I don't know if he has the playbook already from the meeting he had with the Steelers about a month ago, but who knows? I want to see Will Howard a lot. I know some of y'all will love to hear that all preseason long. Just feed me Will Howard. See what you have in a young kid before you most likely get go and trade up in the draft next year. I'm excited about Caleb, but who knows? Caleb Johnson, I think a lot of people are excited about him. They just aren't as vocal about it. When you have a guy who says, I could be a Derrick Henry style running back, or I can be a Dalvin Cook style running back. And I believe he also said something recently that he could win Offensive Rookie of the Year. I love that moxie. He played in a zone run system at Iowa that faced a lot of heavy boxes, and he still was, I think, a top 5 running back in the draft last year. That's impressive. That could be the steal of the draft. Caleb Johnson, I think, coming out of it, he was projected to be a 2nd-round pick, and the Steelers ended up getting him in the mid to late 3rd round. So, good investment there. Speaking of moving back into Aaron Rodgers talk, want to pop this up real quick. Steelers linebacker was on NFL Network, I think today, and he talked about how he would feel about Aaron Rodgers signing. This guy just so happens to be my father's favorite player, Alex Highsmith, on NFL Network, talked about Rodgers and said he would be cool if AR-12 does sign in the Berg. Quote, if he does sign, we're definitely going to be really excited to have him. We know who he is. He's a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's one of the best to ever do it. Great to hear that from Highsmith. I think you've heard that from a good bit of, big voices in that Steelers locker room. I think you're going to have depending on how fans feel it, I think Rodgers, at least initially, the team is going to give Rodgers a chance to come in and be a part of the team. You've heard now Alex Highsmith speak highly of him. Cam Hayward has done so. I think having practice with him, DK Metcalf thinks well of Aaron Rodgers. So, I'm starting to open up more. I mean, you can call it just me talking myself into it for months on end now, kind of like what we've all been doing. I'm starting to open up more towards Aaron Rodgers being the Steelers quarterback to start the year and having, Will Howard learn under him, see if that old cowboy still has something left in him. So, opening up more and more to it. That wasn't all Alex Highsmith said on NFL Network. By the way, he also talked about his best friend and rusher opposite him on the defensive line, TJ Watt. Watt, of course, entering into the final year of his contract, looking for an extension this offseason, most likely. Talking about TJ, Highsmith said, quote, I'm confident he's not going anywhere. He loves being in Pittsburgh, and the city of Pittsburgh loves him. So I know they're going to do whatever they can to get a deal done. Great to hear there from Highsmith. I'm sure he's been in contact with TJ throughout the season. Those two are like Batman and Robin. Some games, one's Batman, one's Robin. I think Highsmith in his career has grown well past the Robin narrative into a formidable threat all by himself. But great to hear that from Highsmith. I'm sure TJ would at least a tiny bit keep him in the know about how things are going. So that's great to hear from Highsmith. My prediction, though, this is going to be like what was it, 3-4 years ago when Watt went all preseason long, doing hold-ins, going to practice, but not taking part in team activities. A deal will get signed at some point in Latrobe, probably like one of the last days there, and Watt will be healthy heading into the season. I also think that was the year TJ won Defensive Player of the Year, if I'm not mistaken, because he did that. He signed his contract near the end of training camp. 2 days later, went into Buffalo and sacked Josh Allen twice. One of them was a strip sack that was recovered. So, hey, if TJ holds out or holds in, I'm not going to sweat it. I think the Steelers want to get a deal done with him, especially Art Rooney II, the owner. He's been vocal in the past about making sure TJ is a one-helmet guy. Hopefully something gets done here sooner rather than later. Back to the comment section. Also, Darius Slay for some reason. Yeah, I mean, big play Slay. I'm more excited about the idea of having another veteran in that room to help Joey Porter Jr. You had Patrick Peterson, JPJ's first year in the league, and that was when you saw Porter at his most dominant. Take Pat Pete out. Porter didn't really have anybody to learn from, and you saw his production dip last year. Now you got Darius Slay there, and Darius Slay, he's not your typical 34-year-old corner, in my opinion. Usually once corners get beyond that 31, 32 age mark in their careers, they tend to, fall off the cliff, so to speak. But Slay last year, don't take him getting cut from the Super Bowl champion Eagles as some sign of weakness. I think he, they saw that, hey, let's see what these kids got and ride with the hot hands. Of course, talking about Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. But Slay, he was still a hell of a player and a good producing player on that Eagles defense last year. And I like the pickup by the Steelers. I'm not sure, what better you could have done, other than getting Slay this offseason. I mean, Steelers, I don't think they were going to overpay for a corner like DJ Reed or Carlton Davis, one of those other top corners who were on the free agent market a couple months ago. And also, I don't think they're really in the market of trading and paying a whole bunch of money to Jalen Ramsey. So, yeah, also cool with Darius Slay. I'm excited about him too. And also, I think he'll also be beneficial to maybe stringing along Corey Trice, who the Steelers think highly of. I'd be more comfortable with Rodgers if I knew we could trust the line to hold for a few seconds. Yeah, I mean, at the very least, when you're talking about this offensive line, they have continuity and they have chemistry. Minus Troy Fautanu, who you're subbing, Fautanu in for the departed Dan Moore Jr. 4 of the 5 offensive linemen played most of the year together last year. So that's encouraging, and hopefully them being able to gel together. Also, I've, been thinking about this too. I think I heard something where Arthur Smith, in the zone run scheme that he likes to run, he did not use that scheme as much last year because he didn't have the right personnel for it. Najee Harris, he wasn't really the zone running type of guy. But now that you have Warren, who is good at that, you got Kenneth Gainwell, who I think is good at that as well, and you got Caleb Johnson, who thrived in that at Iowa. You're going to see Arthur Smith start using that zone run scheme more, and the offensive line will now know what they are doing each and every play, and that they can, have the confidence and faith in their running back to hit the holes when they open it up. So that's at least one encouraging thing about the offensive line. They may be young, but they at least are experienced and comfortable and communicative with each other. Real quick, before we get into the random news story and report segment of the show. We got one big hockey topic to talk about. Rare that we get something like this in the summer. Well, soon to be summer here. The weather outside today really wasn't reflective of that. I mean, hell, I'm wearing a hoodie right now, but this is from NHL News on Twitter, and I think this is pretty legit. But Russia has been ruled ineligible to participate in ice hockey at the 2026 Winter Olympics in Italy, pending official report. The IIHF reportedly made the ruling today at the annual Congress. And with that, I'm not going to get into the politics of this. You know, I'm not going to get political on this topic, talking about what all went into this not happening. But I just feel bad for Evgeni Malkin, man. As a Penguins fan, you saw Sidney Crosby now twice, you know, just a day ago now, play in the IHF World Championships, and also he played in the Four Nations Face-Off. He played for his country twice, probably maybe for the, well, I guess I won't say that. Canada will be in the 2026 Olympics, but the 2026 Olympics might be the final time you get to see Sidney Crosby play in an international tournament. Evgeni Malkin, after Russia was excluded from the past two, international hockey tournaments, there was the hope that Russia would play in 2026 in the Olympics, but now, hell, next year might be Evgeni Malkin's final year of hockey, period. And I just feel bad for Gino. And even like Alex Ovechkin, I feel bad for him a little bit. Like, these guys who were the flag bearers, who have gone above and beyond their expectations when they entered into the league, and now they don't, in the twilight of their career, get to represent their country. That just sucks, my opinion. That'll definitely, I think, no matter who wins the Olympics here next year, I think it would put a tiny asterisk next to it. It's supposed to be best on best, and you're leaving one of the top three hockey producing countries in the world out of it. I think you got Canada. As much as I think USA Hockey has made strides, you still got Canada at the top for producing hockey players. Then you got USA, and even with the US, you could argue whether it's us or Russia who produces the second best crop of hockey players. So just felt that was necessary for today. Feel a little bad for Evgeni Malkin and all of those guys who will not get to represent their countries. I'm just thinking you got Gino, Ovechkin, trying to think of some other Russian players who may not get the opportunity to play for their country in an international tournament anymore. I know this guy, he's got a lot of hockey left, but Sergei Bobrovsky, goaltender for the Panthers, just guys like that, especially Gino and Ovi, because they got one, at most, maybe 2 years left. That's wild. It's not my call, but it's not like we're at war. We just see things differently. Yeah, like I said, I'm not going to get into politics. I understood, honestly, I did. I understood when they left Russia out of the World Cup of Hockey, or not the World Cup of Hockey, the Four Nations Face-Off. World Cup of Hockey, that's actually going to be, I think, 2 years from now. 2027 is when they will reintroduce that. I think it's every other year. The NHL said they'll do some international, Four Nations Face-Off style tournament instead of an all-star game. But, I understood it then. Today, I don't know. I'm going to, keep my opinion out of it. Just hopefully Gino gets one more kick at the can if he decides to go another 2-3 years. But for him, I think he's getting closer to calling it quits than what we realize. Okay, I'm going to now switch things over here. I'm actually going to pop up the more Pittsburgh sports news banner here. Going to take one quick stroll here through Twitter, see if we got anything going on, any more news that I don't already know about. Actually going to keep talking about hockey here for a brief second with the more news segment, and that is that the Penguins, they could be starting their off-season additions quite early. Marco D'Amico from RG Media also does work on TSN, Canada's top radio network, and a whole bunch of other outlets. He posted today that the Vegas Golden Knights and your Pittsburgh Penguins seem to have a 2-horse race going for Maxim Shabanov. Maxim Shabanov, this is the first time I've heard about it. So he is a 24-year-old left winger in the KHL, the top Russian hockey league. He's looking to come over and play in the NHL. 24-year-old left winger, had 23 goals and 67 points in 65 games last year. He ranked third in the KHL in points. So, talking about what this kid could be, I know little about the KHL, but sounds like that would be a hell of an ad. And between the Golden Knights and Penguins, I mean, it depends on what this kid wants. If he wants to, come over and immediately play on a worthy team, he's going to pick the Golden Knights 9 times out of 10. But I think a big thing that the Penguins do have going for them is that they still have Malkin, who we were just talking about, and that, you want to play with one of the best players that your country has ever produced in the best hockey league in the world. I think that is very attractive for Shabanov. And like I said, just hopefully he doesn't turn into Sergei Plotnikov. For those of you diehard Penguins fans, if you remember Sergei Plotnikov, I actually saw a preseason game back when Hockeyville, USA was around these parts. I went to that game, saw Sergei Plotnikov, and at the time we all thought, holy hell, we got this Russian kid who's going to learn from Evgeni Malkin, and he's going to be a 30, 40 goal scorer for us. And then he was off the team that preseason. So hopefully Maxim Shabanov, should he sign with the Penguins, isn't that. And I think that would be quite enticing, bringing in another seemingly high potential young player to this team. Back to the comments real quick. Nate, hello. Last time I chatted was the draft. Welcome back, Nate. How you doing there, friend? You're Nate, also my big wrestling guy as well. I got these sitting here. These just came in a couple of days ago. Got to put these on. Swag out. Hell yeah, the Pirates, they scored more than 4 runs. So we're celebrating. Bottoms up for the Bucks at least being somewhat competent on offense. Back here to what else I got. 2 Steelers stories here. First one I'm going to talk about, and it doesn't involve the Steelers, but it kind of does. Any NFL rumors on Twitter. These guys, they've been right about some things, wrong about some others, but apparently, according to them, the Las Vegas Raiders and the Cleveland Browns have called to check in on Saints wide receiver Chris Olave. Of course, it's been confirmed now by multiple Steelers beat reporters that the Steelers, they were in contact first. I think even before they might have added DK Metcalf about potentially adding Olave, and that those talks have increased a little bit within the last week. Now you add in the Raiders and Browns. It says here that they called to check in. It could just be, hey, is this guy available? If so, what's your asking price? And that could be the beginning and end of the conversation there. But it would infuriate me if the Browns got Chris Olave over the Steelers, because we had this similar situation go on. I think it was a year ago. Something that people forget about the Brandon Ayuk situation. I believe the Browns, they were also in on Ayuk, and then he, I think, shut down going there. He didn't want to go to Cleveland, which, hey, don't blame you. Also, the Browns, they ended up getting a hell of a wide receiver too anyway. They had Amari Cooper for half the year before they traded him to Buffalo, and while the Steelers were stuck with George Pickens and nothing else. Now we're damn near a calendar year later in the same exact spot where the Steelers have one wide receiver on the roster looking for a second, and now Cleveland is coming back into the fold, and they are looking to steal a wide receiver potentially right from underneath the Steelers' noses. Also, another Steelers news. I guess it's, not necessarily a story, but Andrew Filipponi from 93.7 The Fan. I haven't seen where exactly Big Ben said this, but apparently Ben said he believes Kenny Pickett will get cheered when he returns to Pittsburgh as the Browns quarterback in Week 6. I agree with Pony here with what he said, that he doesn't believe Ben whatsoever, and that Kenny will get booed out of the building when he returns. Let me say, I am still deep down, just because of my Pitt Panther bias, a bit of a Kenny Pickett fan. That's what, really increased my affinity and love for college football, watching Kenny Pickett with Jordan Addison and Kalijah Cansey take Pitt all the way to winning a ACC title. I won't forget that, but I will also be one of the first to boo the hell out of him alongside all of Steelers Nation if he is the Browns starting quarterback Week 6. Like, I have no idea. Ben, for his podcast, is where I'm going to assume he talked about this. He has actually been pretty dialed in on what's going on. Not going to lie. Ben, he seems to at least do some, research and keep an eye and an ear on the news, or he has someone feeding that to him, where he's quite educated on a lot of things being said about the Steelers and around the NFL. However, this one, I have no idea in what frame of mind he thinks Kenny Pickett is going to be celebrated here. Kenny, who once Russell Wilson signed last year, tucked his tail between his legs and got out the second that he could. And then even going back, it was proven true, the story that he refused to back up Mason Rudolph, who is now seemingly quarterback number one in the hearts of Pittsburghers, when Mason took his job 2 years ago. So I don't see any which way that Kenny will get cheered when he returns to Pittsburgh. Like, how when the offense of the opposing team first takes the field for the first offensive series of the game, and they say, at quarterback for the Browns, Kenny Pickett, that place is going to have the metaphorical roof not just blown off of it with boos, but shot so far up into space it'll get picked up by satellites. Back to the comment section. LOL party over here. Absolutely. I would be interested in Michael Pittman. I would be interested in Pittman too, but the thing is that, like, I think you're looking more towards the Bears offloading DJ Moore than the Colts are offloading Michael Pittman. Unless they are going to commit to a rebuild, say Anthony Richardson is not what they expected to be. Like, I'm trying to think of the Colts roster off the top of my mind. They got Alec Pierce, who they took in the middle rounds a couple years ago, and they got Adonai Mitchell, who they took last year. and I can't remember any other of their wide receivers off the top of my head. They also took Tyler Warren, who's going to be a hell of a receiving threat in that offense. So, Josh Downs, yes, good pull, Flacco. Josh Downs, yeah. I mean, Michael Pittman, sure, I take it. I think he is, as a wide receiver one, I am unsure, but he'd be easily one of the best wide receiver twos in the league. And you come to Pittsburgh, he would be the wide receiver two behind DK Metcalf. So I take a swing on Michael Pittman if he's available. Not quite sure what the price range would be. I think you might actually be able to get a better deal for DJ Moore, because I'm not sure. Did Michael Pittman get paid? I'm not entirely sure what his contract status is either, because that, comes into these negotiations as well. But, between Michael Pittman and DJ Moore, I'd have to go DJ Moore from the Bears because, well, Omar Khan, who can never forget the Chase Claypool trade, getting a second-round pick, which was a pseudo first-round pick, and you turn that into Joey Porter Jr. But also the Bears, they were looking to run a 2 tight end system, just like the Steelers. They got Cole Kmet and now Colston Loveland, who they took 10th overall. They have Rome Odunze, who they took in the first round last year, with Caleb Williams. And they also got Luther Burden, who was a top 4 receiver in my rankings for this year's draft class. So I'd be interested on Michael Pittman. Yeah, I looked it up. Pittman has a crazy contract. See, that's where that comes in. I mean, the Steelers, if they only pay Rodgers, 10, 15, 20 million, then maybe you can take on that contract. Also, you got to get TJ's contract done as well. I think we're a year ahead on this before we give another wide receiver a big contract, because next year, the Steelers, they're most likely going to take a quarterback in the first round, unless, Will Howard suddenly turns into Tom Brady 2.0 as a 6th-round pick and becomes a franchise quarterback, which odds of that are happening are slim, but damn it, I'm holding out hope. I just saw another interview from Will Howard today, and if you ever wanted to handpick a guy in terms of demeanor, play style, I would pick him to be the guy. He has got the right mindset. He is a lover of football and not just doing it for the money. So I hope Will Howard turns out to be. But back to my point, Steelers, soon enough, they're going to have a hopeful franchise quarterback on a rookie contract, depending on how much you pay TJ Watt and how much you pay Aaron Rodgers. Not necessarily this year, but next year, I think you could afford to go the route of the Philadelphia Eagles, where they're paying 2 wide receivers, pay 2 top wide receivers good money, and have them be good weapons for a young developing quarterback. Back to baseball here for 1 second. The last random news story article thing that I have here. Mark Feinsand, who is an MLB writer, he said that he spoke with an AL team executive, and that AL team executive, so this is someone with an MLB team, proposed what a possible Paul Skeens trade would look like. Now, I feel like I have to talk about this, even though there's no chance Paul Skeens is getting dealt, but if this is true, this is someone inside a baseball organization saying this. We could see if Skeens gets dealt, in the coming 2-3 years, possibly the biggest haul of prospects and assets back to the Pirates that has ever been seen in MLB history. So this AL team executive said that Skeens would get traded to the Boston Red Sox. In return, the Pirates would get first baseman Tristan Casas, decent first baseman, definitely an MLB starter on most MLB teams. Unfortunately, I believe he has a season-ending leg injury that he suffered a couple weeks ago now. So you'd get Casas, the number one overall MLB prospect right now, of course, Pirates prospect pitcher Bubba Chandler, who is the top pitching prospect in baseball, he's number 2. But the number one overall prospect in baseball right now, center fielder Roman Anthony, would be coming back to the Pirates. Shortstop, also a prospect, the second prospect in the Red Sox organization, Marcelo Mayer, which if you're, a Pirate fan, that name might sound a little bit familiar because Marcelo Mayer, he was probably the top overall prospect when the Bucks had the first overall pick a handful of years ago, and the Pirates took Henry Davis over him. So you'd be getting a first baseman, the top prospect in baseball right now, who's an outfielder, the prospect that you probably should have taken a couple years ago instead of Henry Davis, second baseman Christian Bell, who I believe is a prospect who just made it to the MLB team and has carved out a spot for him there. And he's probably a rookie of the year candidate. And also a starting pitcher who's on the injured list right now, but is also a former All-Star, and Tanner Houck. So I will say that whatever an MLB team offers right now will not be enough. It will never be enough to deal Paul Skeens. However, if the unfortunate, terrible economic system in baseball will force the Pirates to eventually trade Skeens, if the Pirates could get back 2 years from now, if they could get back a haul just like this, then that would be actually a, somewhat worthwhile trade to do. But until that day comes, we're not trading Skeens. I don't want them to trade Skeens. Bob Nutting, wake the hell up, spend some money, and also banish Ben Cherington, shoot him off into the sun, and let's build around Skeens here instead of having every single MLB national talking head say, oh, what could the Pirates get back for him? All right. Anyways, back to the comments real quick. Flacco, I like DJ Moore too. Good call. Yeah, DJ Moore. Just talking about, those are probably the 5 potential wide receiver 2 for the Steelers right now. Got Pittman from Indianapolis as a trade candidate. DJ Moore from Chicago as a trade possibility. I'm not going to put Chris Olave on this list quite yet because the asking price is so astronomical. But beyond that, beyond Pittman and Moore, you'll have the 2 free agents, Keenan Allen and Amari Cooper. And then your 5th guy would be, if Aaron Rodgers is going to have a ton of sway if he signs in Pittsburgh, Alan Lazard from the Jets, who is Rodgers' boy. So those are my top 5 potential wide receivers that could be Steelers before we reach the beginning of the season. Scrolling here through Twitter, seeing if we got anything else cooking on here. Let me take these off. Jeez, eyes got to readjust now. So those things on my ears with the headphones on, not too good of a feeling. Looking more here, not really seeing too much here on the Twitter. Bucks in action here now, 15 minutes from game time. It would be a miracle. It was a miracle for them last night to score more than 4 runs. It would be absolutely insane if they were to score more than 4 runs again tonight. Back-to-back games, crazy talk. Not seeing too much other news. Was expecting a bit of a slow day Friday. Everybody's filing it in for the weekend, which probably Aaron Rodgers will sign on the weekend here. I'll be back up here talking with you guys. Happy, very Aaron Rodgers like when all the news of the week dies down, he'll make himself the center of attention. Keenan Allen is a target hog, might be good, but old. I mean, I said last year I wanted them to sign Allen, and they didn't. And Allen went to a loaded wide receiver room with the Bears. So I'd be open to it. What's the saying? You're never wrong. You're just early. I'd be cool if Keenan Allen is a signing. Also, Amari Cooper. I think Amari Cooper would be probably the most underrated late offseason pickup in a long time, because with Cleveland, he was good and getting open. Unfortunately, he had no one to throw him the ball. Then when he goes to Buffalo, he had Josh Allen, but he also got hurt. And so that really didn't see him get on the field that much up in Buffalo. So if Amari Cooper is healthy, he might be my top pick over Allen, actually. I've talked myself into that over the past couple of days. Aaron visited Pittsburgh. I did hear that rumor. Somebody called in the 93.7 The Fan today, said that he saw Rodgers walking out of a hotel in Pittsburgh and then getting into an SUV. No, again, it's just some dude. It's hearsay. So, whether that's accurate or not, who knows? I mean, hell, we didn't even know Rodgers was in Pittsburgh for the first meeting with the Steelers until he was already there for like 6 hours, back when he was actually inside the building. So, who knows? Maybe he is, maybe he's not. He could be anywhere at any time. If Aaron Rodgers wanted to, he can burst through that door behind me without anybody noticing. Rodgers is a ghost. Yeah. He learned the mastery of stealth from his ayahuasca retreats. He has spoken to powers beyond him, and he knows how to move with the wind. Looking here, let me go here, see if there's really anything big. My notification section. Not really Penguins news related, but still a team in their division, and probably they've, over the past handful of years, have quickly rose up my most hated NHL teams list. The New York Islanders, they hired a new GM today, Matthew Darch. So go ahead and make the Islanders worse so we can get back to kicking their ass on a yearly basis. Not really seeing too much else here. Also, Derek Harmon, he spoke highly of Cam Hayward with a recent comment. I lost it, but still, though, that might be probably my favorite rookie veteran duo I've seen in football, if it plays out the right way. Derek Harmon learning from Cam Hayward could be very, very special. So, all right. I think we are going to wrap things up here for the week, ladies and gentlemen. We will wait and see if we get any more Aaron Rodgers news over the weekend. But with that, back to watching this Pittsburgh Pirates team probably continue to be frustrating. In fact, the broadcast just went live. Game 2 of this series with the Milwaukee Brewers. The Brewers actually below 500, 25-26. I haven't really, just because the Bucks, they've been deep in the basement. They're 17-34. I haven't really been paying that much attention to the rest of the standings in the NL Central, but the Brewers, they are 25-26. Interesting. So with that, let's watch the Bucks restart their streak of scoring 4 or less runs tonight. Probably going to happen, especially with Skeens on the mound, because screw that guy. Oh, look at Mom Paul Skeens. I'm the best pitcher in the game. I'm dating Livy. Done. Come on, you're all that. You're Superman. We don't need to give you run support. Whatever. All right. Thank you all for joining me here tonight. Appreciate you all. Shout out to Flacco commenting in the chat. Shout out to Nate as well. Thank you guys for joining me here tonight. Hope you all enjoyed it. We will be back here doing this again on Monday. We'll have, I'm sure, more news over the weekend. Who knows? Maybe even we'll be back on here for an emergency stream in case Aaron Rodgers finally puts pen to paper. I'm not going to hold my breath on it, but you never know. Getting closer and closer to where real football will begin, starting with OTAs next week. So with that, thank you all for joining me here tonight. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so that you will know when I am live again. Also, like, share, and comment on this live stream. I appreciate you all. Deuces in the chat from Flacco. Peace out, my good friend. And with that, I will see you guys back here on Monday unless Aaron Rodgers decides to drop a bombshell this weekend. Thank you all very much. Peace out. Love you all. Have a good weekend. Let's go Bucks.